So now I usually give the talk. For those who need to go to another appointment, or if you need to go to toilets, or if you're bored. Sometimes I kind of wonder, why does anybody go anywhere? Like at the end of a meditation class, I don't just sit here because I have to. I sit here because I like to. It's peaceful, it's calm. I want to enjoy these moments even longer. Isn't it wonderful just to be able to find an opportunity to be still? And to be so still that it brings rise to just joy, happiness and comfort. This is more delightful than falling asleep. The reason is because if I fall asleep, you may go unconscious for a while. But then I'm enjoying it all the time, not falling asleep, being mindful. So mindful, you can feel what's going on, and it's gorgeous. The stillness, the silence, the body being at ease, being at peace. Sometimes I wondered, if you want to have happiness in life, how can you find that happiness? Where can you find that happiness? So often, if people are waiting, they're waiting to do something, waiting to go somewhere. They're not actually really waiting in this moment. They're looking to go somewhere else, always on the move, always running away from something. Imagine when you know how just to let go enough, relax enough, you can just stay here and don't need to go anywhere, to be at peace right in this moment. This moment is enough of a place to find peace. Where would you like to arrange things so you don't have to think, you don't have to move, where the body is comfortable, the body is still, and you've got nothing to do? How many people in this world, if you interrupt them and you say, "What are you up to?" and they really do say, "Nothing." Don't you want to do something? No. How many of you, if given the opportunity to actually go somewhere interesting? I was telling people that often as a monk, when I go and teach a retreat, like next week, I'll be teaching a meditation retreat in a hotel outside of Angkor Wat in Cambodia. I'm teaching a retreat there. Why? Would you like to go to Angkor Wat? If you ask me, I'd say no. I don't want to go anywhere. Honestly, when I close my eyes and start meditating, I haven't got a clue where I am. I don't care where I am. As long as it's safe and peaceful, that's good enough for me. Why do you want to go and see these sites? They're just old sites. You can go and see them on a computer. You don't have to pay so much money for that. And you don't get sort of obsessed or oppressed by other people just pushing you, pulling you. Honestly, I'm not a tourist. Because what do you want to see in the world? Many places, one of the other places where I was giving a talk in a conference over in Toronto, and it wasn't that far away from Niagara Falls. And the people who had invited me said, "Oh, do you want to go on a free tour of Niagara Falls?" And I was honest. No. Why not? Well, why should I? It's only just water falling over a cliff. If ever I wanted to see a waterfall, I'd just go to Serpentine Falls. That's our own waterfall. Actually, I don't know, I've hardly ever been there. But if I ever want to see a waterfall, I just go into the shower and turn on the water. Same thing. It's a waterfall. Why do people want to buy into what people sell as beauty? What is beauty? I love that sort of question which many people don't answer. Do you have to wear makeup to see beauty? I did once. No, twice in my life I've worn makeup. Am I a weirdo? In those days, to go on TV, the first time was interesting that someone had arranged it's actually because I was very kind and tried to make contact with people of other religions. The Anglican Church in Perth, they invited me once. Do you give good talks? Can you please give a talk in St. George's Cathedral in Perth? Okay. So they invited me, not just an ordinary talk, it was a Sunday sermon at St. George's Cathedral. And apparently the dean of the cathedral, because we got to know each other and we're quite friendly, we asked him to give a talk here once. That was after I gave a talk at his place. So it's only fair to invite him to give a talk at my place. Fair. So I gave a talk there, and someone told the newspapers. And the newspapers told the TV. And the TV told Channel 7. I think it was Channel 7. And Channel 7 invited me to give an interview. And because in those days, if you had to give an interview on TV live for the evening news, you had to wear makeup. Only afterwards I asked, did anyone ever refuse to wear makeup on TV for the news? He said, yes, only one other person. And that was, I think his name, they said it was Rory Gallagher of Oasis. Do you know him? You heard of him? Anyway, if I'd have heard that he got away with it, I'd have put my hand up and said, me too. But the worst part of getting the makeup artist to put makeup on you, it was so you didn't look too white in front of the cameras. The worst part of that was Ajahn Brahm was accompanying me. And as I was having this makeup put on me to appear on the TV, he was going, trying to embarrass me even more. But it didn't really matter too much. And when we did actually do the actual gig on a Sunday, the Dean of St. George's Cathedral said, as far as he was concerned, as he knew, that was the first time in 2,000 years a Buddhist monk had given a Sunday sermon at a Christian church. I'm kind of proud of that. But the best part of it, for those, how many of you were there at that event? Eddie? You were amazing, Eddie, at that event, because you were quiet. It was packed. Not just Buddhists, but half of them were Anglican. I didn't have a clue who was who, because they were just people. Why do we call people Buddhist or Christians or anything? They're human beings. That was the nicest part. And there were so many people there. And it was, there's no way, the way I teach, lots of stories and funny stories, they're all meaningful. I'm not asking anyone to believe anything, but just to make sure that you are practicing properly and kindly. Is it so as Buddhists we should only be kind, to people of our own religion? Of course not. You want to be kind to anybody, whoever they are, wherever they're from. And that was a beautiful thing which we could teach. That's one of the stories which somebody reminded me of over in Serpentine. I think it was yesterday. They said, you told us years ago, who is the most important person in the whole world? Who is the most important person in the world? The answer to that question is whoever it is right in front of you in this moment. They are the most important person in the world. Don't ever give them a name and say it's, my mother, it's Jesus or Buddha or something. The most important person is the one right in front of you, whoever that is. And that's so beautiful, teaching. I remember telling that at a HR conference, and that was for Cathay Pacific, the airline. I used to have a lot of disciples over there, so when I went to Hong Kong, they'd always invite me there to give a talk. And the person who'd always come was the HR director of Cathay Pacific. And he actually put that into his program for all people on the desks at the airport, checking people in, checking their baggage, or making changes to their itinerary, and also all the people working in the cabin in Cathay Pacific. The most important person in the world is always the one right in front of you. Beautiful little sayings. Is that a Buddhist saying? Christian saying? Is it a Muslim saying? It's a beautiful saying of kindness, inclusivity, and giving that importance to whoever it happens to be right in front of you. Sometimes people would kind of criticize, doesn't that make you really just tired, having to give importance to everybody? And as you know, it makes you more alive. I remember when I was, went to a big university. I was over in Cambridge, and sometimes you had these lecturers who were really famous, and then sometimes I went up to them afterwards to ask a question, and sometimes you could tell they just wanted to get rid of you. They didn't want to answer the question because I was not important. I was just a young student. And I remember that with so much sadness over many years. And I understood why it is so important. Any one of you who comes up after this talk and asks me a question, honestly, sometimes I don't care how late it is. I would always try and answer it. Don't care who you are. If you're right in front of me, you're the most important person in the whole world. When you go to the shops, in the shopping mall, is that how people treat you? Give you importance? What does that feel like? That's awful. It's like you don't matter anymore. And I never want ever to give that to anybody, to make sure you are important. And I try and make you important. And this is one of the reasons why that phrase, first time I started practicing that, I related to it straight away. Wouldn't it be wonderful if a person, no matter who they were in this world, that they could give you importance? But then, of course, sometimes I'm by myself. I spend a lot of time in solitude as a monk, as many of you know. And then because I'm in solitude for such a long time, I have all this opportunity when I'm just with me to make me the most important person in the whole world. What do I mean by that? I mean, if you were someone really important, or you met someone important, what would you give to them? gratitude, kindness, love. I often say that all these pieces of advice which I've given over the years, such as, that story about, the door of my heart is always open to you. I often say that to myself. If I'm in solitude, Ajahn Brahm, the door of my heart is open to me. Can you say that to yourself? How many times have you already said that to yourself? This person you've known all your life, the person you're closest to, you, yourself. Can you say that to yourself? You made a mistake sometimes. Can you still open the door of your heart to your own self? Honestly, it's not a small thing, it's a huge thing which you do when you have the guts, the encouragement, the time to look at yourself and say, I'm not perfect, I made heaps of mistakes, but honestly, the door of my heart, I open it. If I made a mistake, I'll learn from it. And if I made a mistake to myself, I could have made a better decision. Who hasn't felt that? But what we can do is, instead of getting negative to ourselves, instead of getting, looking for finding faults with ourselves, you'll know about how we punish people in Buddhism. I mentioned that many times. Punishment. What does punishment feel like? It's so gross. So years and years ago, that story of that trainee monk, we call them anagarikas, supposed to be just keeping 8 precepts, one of which is not eating in the evening. He came to me early one morning, said he hadn't hardly slept all night. So what did you do? He said, I went into the monastery kitchen. I made a sandwich. About just after midnight, I was hungry. And I ate it. I broke the rules. It wasn't just a little bit of cheese or something. It was a real sandwich. You know what I said to him? I've had this character all the time I've been a monk. I said, never mind. Please, maybe eat some more at lunch. And if you do get hungry in the evening, we've got things like cheese. If you're not allergic to honey, chocolate. There's so many things you can eat without getting into trouble by breaking any rules. Eat those. And he said, thank you. But then he said, aren't you going to punish me? I don't know, where did you learn that from, or get conditioned like that? He said, if you don't punish me, I'll do the same again. So I had no choice. I had to invent a punishment for him. You know the punishment which I sentenced him to? 50 strokes of the cat. I'd just been reading a book about early Australian history. They used to get this, the cat of 9 tails, and whip prisoners in the old days. He said, 50 strokes, that's my punishment for you. He actually did think I was... He didn't really know what a Buddhist monk was. He really thought I was going to flog him. And then I explained what 50 strokes of a cat are. We had 2 cats in monastery at the time. Find one of them, any one of them. Put it in your lap and stroke it. 1, 2... Learn some compassion. That's why you wanted to be punished. you haven't opened the door of your heart to yourself. You don't think yourself that important. And after a while, that little story, which I've told so many times to so many people, if you do have somebody, you're the boss at work, or that you're a parent and your children are misbehaved, please get a cat. To learn some compassion and kindness. That teaches you much more than any pain or any sort of those negative punishments. That's what I found anyway. So that this is the most important person. The door of your heart's open to yourself. If you do make mistakes, don't be someone who punishes. Be someone who knows that they make mistakes, they feel they need to be disciplined simply because they have not enough compassion to themselves. And after a while you can't do punishment anymore. Have you ever punished anybody? What did it feel like? I would never want to do that ever again. Because why do I want to create pain for others? People have enough pain, don't they? Do we need to make more pain for others in this world? Of course not. We want to make that kindness. And with that kindness and that forgiveness, that creates a much stronger bond of kindness and love. We never want to hurt anybody. So that's one of the reasons why Buddhist monks, we should be sent over to very difficult places in the world, just to be there and just smile with the kindness. So anyway, those are some of the stories. Or one of the other stories which I mentioned to this person, because they were Sri Lankan and they'd seen me so many years. And I told a story, I hope I didn't tell it last week. I told a story which I really impressed on Mahinda Rajapaksa when he was the president of Sri Lanka. Presidents are politicians. What happens to a politician? What hurts them so often? And I've seen this. I've known a few senior politicians in my time. A lot of times, whenever they do anything, they are scrutinized. If they make a fault, any fault, the slightest of fault, they're in the news the next day. They say the politician made a mess of things. So I told President Rajapaksa years ago, I said, it's like the story of the donkey. Once there was a donkey wandering in the forest. And when he was wandering in the forest, he wasn't mindful enough that he slipped and fell into a well. I didn't tell this last week, did I? No good. He fell into a well. The well was dry, so he never drowned. But the donkey, because he fell into the well, he was in big trouble. How could the donkey escape? He can't climb. So the donkey was at the bottom of the well, getting more and more worried. Well, how is he going to get out? And the donkey did try and get the attention of any passerby by shouting as loud as he could in donkey language, "E-o, E-o, E-o." I told this to the president. He was very famous at this, very well known and very well liked at the time. E-o. Eventually someone heard the donkey, and that was a farmer. And the farmer was not a good man. In fact, he was so bad, He thought, I always wanted to get rid of that stupid donkey. Now he's fallen into the well, ha ha ha. But then he said, that well is dangerous. One day I might fall into it. So I better actually do something about this. I will fill up that well with dirt. The donkey as well, burying him alive. Then it won't be a danger anymore. So he got out a spade and started digging dirt and throwing it into the well. Shovelful after shovelful after shovelful fell on that donkey's back. And the donkey started to realize that farmer was not trying to help the donkey, was trying to kill the donkey by burying him alive. So what did the donkey do? Now this is the most important lesson of this talk. Whenever you're in trouble like that, always get some wisdom. There's always an opportunity for insight. So the insight of the donkey was the next shovelful of dirt which hit the donkey's back. The donkey didn't say anything anymore, didn't go any eat-ors, eat-ors. Instead, he just stamped the dirt in, shrugged it off first of all, stamped it in, and he was an inch higher. Another shovelful of earth, stamped it in, and he was an inch higher. And of course, because he wasn't going eat-or, the farmer didn't understand what had happened. The farmer thought he killed that silly donkey. But the donkey was just getting higher and higher and higher and higher, until soon the donkey got so high he could just jump out of the well. That's how he survived. And that's what I told the president of Sri Lanka. You know, it doesn't matter what you do, there's always people who will criticize you. Even the Prime Minister of Australia, the Premier of Western Australia, what happens to even the President of the Buddhist Society of Western Australia, who's not here today? You see, you'd think he should be here today, shouldn't he? But he's not. So it doesn't matter who he is or what he does, you'll always get somebody who will criticize you. And if he's listening to this, Mr. Prem, and you receive any criticism, stamp it in, and then you're an inch higher. It's amazing that sometimes the president enjoyed a story like that, because it related to his life. He could understand it very simply. It wasn't just a theory. It was something practical he could do. Whenever he got any criticism, in the newspapers or the TV, shrug it off, stamp it in, and you get a bit higher, and you don't die. So those kind of stories are one of the reasons why it became interesting to go and give like a talk at a cathedral over in Perth. Interesting to break those barriers. Why do you have to be a Christian to give a talk at a cathedral on a Sunday sermon? I think that's the first time I shouldn't say this, first time I've ever been in a cathedral on a Sunday for the sermon. I didn't listen to it, I gave it as a Buddhist. Those are the kind of stories and the kind of tales which are helpful for everybody. And they don't just helpful for everybody, they just break the barriers which divide people. What about between Islam and Buddhism? Can we find some nice stories to understand how we can join together Islam and Buddhism? One of Ajahn Brahmali's favourite stories was of this mullah. You all know him, that's Nasruddin. And he was sitting outside his house one day, had a big pile of chili peppers, and he was crying his eyes out. Why was he crying? He said, "I'm looking for the sweet one." Have you ever come across a sweet chili pepper? Why? One of the ones which I like about Nasruddin and the wisdom, which is wonderful. Are you ever afraid when you may have like a cancer or any other disease and the doctor tells you it's terminal? How many people have you known and met when the doctors, and they're very, very well educated, and actually says that's terminal, and you're still alive many decades afterwards? That was when, in this story I remember, the Nasruddin had said something which had really upset, I think, the Shah. And the Shah said, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry, but you know that what you've said is just so heretical that you have to be executed." And even the Shah didn't really want to execute this guy Nasruddin, simply because he was so much fun. But he said, "I've got no choice. You have to be executed." And Nasruddin said, "Oh, that's a shame, because I've just found this magical charm which will make," please excuse me, this is according to the story, "which will make your wife never argue with you ever again." He said, "Is there a charm which will do that?" He said, "Oh yeah. Are you sure?" "Oh yeah. Because if it isn't, I'll have to execute you." He said, "Yeah, I understand that. Give me a year." "Okay, I will suspend your sentence for 1 year. And if my wife still argues with me, then I'll execute you." I don't know why I love this story. Maybe because I haven't got a wife. So anyway, he walked out, Nasruddin, and said, "Why did you say that? You know, have you really got a charm like that which can stop your wife arguing with you?" He said, No, not at all. I was just making that up." "Why did you do that?" He said, "Well, look, 1 year is a long time in politics. In 1 year, the Shah of the Iran might say something, and he may be kicked out, or he may die a natural death, or some other country might invade, or the United States might send aircraft there to blow the place up. If you're a leader, you can die very easily, any time. Except if you're Ajahn Brahm. Ajahn Brahm doesn't die, okay, Eddie? Don't get worried." So he said, "I've got an extra year of life. Wonderful. Why not?" So that was a wise decision, understanding anicca, impermanence, uncertainty. Who knows what's going to happen next? So because of that, the Nasruddin got away with an extra year of his life, with no problems at all. So that's why there's a lot of wisdom in some of these stories, which I remember hearing. Even, how often in these days do you complain about kids? Your kids. Never listening to mum or dad. And there was this one time when this father, his son was helping him in the donkey trade. He was using donkeys to pull the carts, to be able to transport goods from place to place. But the kid was young, and so when his son was driving the donkey across a bridge. If the donkey cart was leaning to the left and about to fall off the bridge, the father would shout to his son, "Push the cart more to the left." It was already leaning a lot to the left. Push it more to the left. And the son would always push it to the right. If it was leaning too much to the right, push it more to the right, and the son would push it to the left. And that way they'd always push the carts or lead the carts safely across every bridge. And then one day, when the cart was leaning to the right, the father told the son, "Push it more to the right." And this was the first time ever that the son followed the father's instructions and pushed it more to the right, and the whole cart fell over the bridge and was lost. And the father said, "Why did you do that, son? Why did you actually, for the first time, you did what I said? Don't you know, Dad, it's my 18th birthday today. I don't have to go against what you ever say. I'm a mature guy now." And the reason why I love that story was simply because sometimes we think that your children would always do the opposite, and that's like a modern phenomena. And that was, I think, 13th century in Iran, to see that how kids don't change. So don't punish your daughter or your son too much. They're just following what's embedded in them. So that means that you can live a nice peaceful life, and so can your kids. You don't have to get angry. They're just doing what kids do. So that was some of the ways that we do have different philosophies in life, but they can all live happily together without any problems at all. Did you like what I said so far? Excellent. Because it's not creating more violence and problems. If anybody, you don't teach violence, you don't punish, you explain and encourage and have a wonderful time. Okay, I did one day want to finish early on a talk. Have you had enough? Should I finish early? No. Okay, here we go for another hour. Because this is a way of encouraging people not just to come in here and learn facts, but to come in here and learn beautiful teachings so you can become a better human being. And you can spread that better humanity to everybody you meet. Now, how do we spread Buddhism in our modern world? You don't do it just, by shouting the teachings. Each one of you, if you become a better human being, a kinder person, a more forgiving, a more generous person, then that's actually how we spread goodness in this world, how we spread kindness in this world. Not with the power of our voice, but with the power of the teachings and how just deep they are and how profound they are. All of those things which I learned as a young monk, I found them so incredibly powerful. Like, as I was coming in here, Rene was talking about, some of the new PA systems they're planning to build here. And they're noisy. I still remember Ajahn Brahm teaching me, how do you deal with noise? Does noise disturb you? And I can never forget how Ajahn Brahm taught me. He says it's never noise disturbs you, it's you who disturb the noise. And I wanted to find out what he meant by that. Noise is disturbing if it's very, very loud and discordant. How can you not disturb the noise, but the noise disturbs you. This is actually where so often they had forest monasteries which think they should be quiet. But Wat Barnana Chart in Thailand, where I spent most of 9 years, every now and again they had a party, a big celebration in the village. And when they had a big celebration in the village, it would usually last for 3 days. Okay, they get tired about 2 o'clock in the morning and have a break and get up and get started again. So it went continuously for such a long time. And this particular event happened when they started to have technologically improved generators to make electricity, so they could have records, noise played, and lots and lots and lots of noise. And again, they would usually keep going till about 2 a.m. And at 2 a.m. I had about an hour, if I was lucky, for sleep, because at 3 o'clock, that's when the monastery bell started. And many times, many other monks would also say, sometimes we thought to try and hide the stick which we used to beat the bell. Sometimes these monastery bells, sometimes I thought, but if I could actually just put them somewhere else so Ajahn Chah doesn't see it, then he wouldn't know what to bong in the morning, it would be nice and quiet. And we had all these kind of plans, but nothing really worked. So how can you don't allow the noise to disturb you? After a while, one of the first times I did this was opposite Hay Street Mall in Perth. I always remember this. It was supposed to be some demonstration about the situation which was happening in Myanmar and how many people were losing their lives there. And it was a peaceful protest. They just wanted people to sit in meditation outside the, I think it was Uniting Church on Hay Street Mall, opposite Hay Street Mall. And they said it was going to be noisy, but could I please come along? So I joined in because it was noisy. And I wanted to test, to see if this actually worked. And Hay Street Mall was a very noisy place. Much more so in those days. Because in those days, the place opposite the church was time zone. Do you remember time zone? It had lots of, I don't know what was going on inside, video games or something, but a lot of really loud music, not just one sound, but many sounds coming out. Right, and I was sitting right opposite that. And that was noisy. But what I did, I never reacted to it. Ajahn Chah taught me, don't disturb the noise. So I could hear the sound, but it wasn't disturbing me. I never allowed it to create a reaction in my mind. It was just noise, that's all. And it does work, you can do that. The most disturbing part of the noise is when you react to it. It shouldn't be so noisy, can't we sit somewhere else? Can't I get some headphones? Can't I do something else? Those are the noisy words because they are happening right inside of you. Or you did ask, who was it? Oh, there you did ask for a funny story. You know the funny story about how not to disturb the noise? About that guy who came to Perth one day and he couldn't find a hotel. He couldn't find a place to stay at night. And eventually he went to one hotel and he said, well look, there's no free rooms. But what we do have here, there is one room with a spare bed. And the guy who's already booked into that room doesn't mind if another person stays in the same room, in a separate bed. But, he said, the guy snores so loudly. There's no way in the world that anyone's been able to sleep in the same room with a guy who snores so loud. And this visitor said, I can do that. You sure? I mean, it's really loud snoring. I think I can stay in the same room. How many of you know what happened? Oh, please excuse me. It's quite funny. So he said, okay, it's up to you. So he went into that room. The guy didn't mind sharing this room. But anyhow, the following morning, when the new guy checked out, the owner of the hotel asked him, how did you go? Could you sleep last night? He said, I slept perfectly. I had a wonderful sleep last night. How on earth did that happen? If it's true, you're the first person ever to sleep in that room with that snory guy. So it's very simple. Once I could put my pajamas on, before I went into my bed, I went over to his bed, kissed him passionately on the lips, and then went back into my bed. He didn't sleep all night. Please excuse me. None of you were laughing. He was laughing. Good. Anyway, there's always a means, a way. Never allow the noise to disturb you. And then you can sleep very, very peacefully. Okay, I think I better stop while I'm ahead. Only just ahead. So now, questions. Oops. Here we go. Question number 1. From India. Is it wrong to leave my job so I can meditate, as lots of defilements keep arising at work? I can't stop thinking all the problems and challenges at work. You do need to work in order to have enough income to feed your family and yourself. So, how can we do this? Please, whatever problems arise at work, you don't need to keep thinking about them. Thinking doesn't solve the problems. It actually makes them worse. So just keep on working, but do work focusing on the work you're doing, rather than thinking about the problems. Is it easy to be a senior monk? Are there no problems at the monastery? Of course there are. I just don't think about them. So I can do my work nice and peacefully. Is that the case? Yeah, good. So don't think about the problems, just do the work, and then you can meditate afterwards, easy. Question from Bolivia. How to overcome fear of rebirth? I take memory as me and myself, so if I be born as a baby, I will lose all my memories of this life, and this life is no more existing. You don't lose everything. You have what we call like inclinations. You know, some babies are easily scared. Some babies are very happy and engaging. Where did those characters come from? You don't lose everything. You still have these, not the memories in the sense of facts, but you have many character traits from your past. And anyway, overcome fear of rebirth. Whether you fear or you don't fear it, it happens. So, If you were reborn as a baby, I lose all my memories of this life, and this life is no more existing. Of course this life doesn't exist after you get reborn, but it informs your future lives. How you behave in this life creates the character for your next life. Question from Minnesota. How do we find radical acceptance for losing the life we have worked so hard to create and achieve? A lot of times that you say you work hard to create and achieve, a lot of times you find it's a much better life if you don't work so hard. You can relax more, enjoy more, be at peace more. My father passed away last year. My mum is not well. My son is graduating from school. My other son is autistic, and our money is tight. My life is stressful. I am overwhelmed. How do I live my life without stress? That's an easy question. Become a monk. That's obvious, isn't it? And what would happen? Your father passed away last year and you become a monk. Your father, a lot of time, his spirit ghost hasn't totally departed from the world yet, and he'd be so proud of you. You become a monk. Your mum is not well, and your mum is seeing that you're now a monk. The amount of chanting you can do and the power of that chant is so amazing. You make her much healthier. My son is graduating from school, so you've done the best you possibly can for him, and he can be inspired by you. Like he can, I'm not sure what he's doing once he graduates from school, but he'll be inspired. And now his mum or his mother or father is now a monastic. Our money is tight. You don't need money as a monk. If it's tight, not tight, you're fine. My life is stressful. Okay, that's cured by being a monk. I am overwhelmed. You're not overwhelmed by being a monk. How do I live my life without stress? Answer given. Why do people have stress? I mentioned what that stress was when I said about the stress in the body. Two parts of the body just hurting each other because they're not relaxed. Why do you get stressed at work or in life? You want things which the world can't give you. And a lot of times if the world can't give you it, we work harder trying to get these things. Do you really need those things? In monastic life, we look at what we call the 4 basic requisites. If you can actually satisfy those, you don't need to have stress. Those 4 basic requisites are food, just enough food to be healthy, not too much, is clothes to wear, a place to stay, and medicines in time of sickness, that's all. It's not much. Do you really need a car? We make life very complicated. How many years ago did very few people have cars? They used bicycles. They used public transports. And they didn't have much problems at all. Food. Sometimes we have fast food these days, which is expensive. Can't we just cook up something ourselves? Clothes to wear. What clothes do you wear? And medicines for time of sickness. You know, a lot of times honestly that I don't have many medicines at all. When I've got sick, I haven't used medicines. So many times, you have... how did I cure even scrub typhus? Through meditation. Not through whatever antibiotics they were pumping up inside of me, through injections. There wasn't even injections. When I had scrub typhus, that was first year as a monk, that's 51 years ago. And the nurse who injected me twice a day in my backside, she never injected me, stabbed. Honest. Because those were the days of recyclable needles. So they used them many, many times, the same needle. And they had to stab because you could sometimes hear them sharpening them, never sharpen them enough, and bang, into your backside. My backside was so sore, twice a day. Anyway, so as long as you have decent medicines, and a lot of the time the medicines, the best medicines are the simple ones. You have enough food, place to stay, and clothes to wear. Easy. I often said that story about when I did go in hospital some time ago under a gynecologist, that they did ask me, said, did you bring your pajamas? Is that standard what they ask you when you go to hospitals? But anyway, this was again a long time ago. And I said, I don't have any pajamas. As a monk, I still don't have pajamas. So I told them, it's either naked or these robes, take your choice. Anyway, that's how I dealt with hospitals. Okay, now it's 9 o'clock. Is that enough? You got a question, Eddie?
Okay.
No, I was a question to ask. Yes or no? No. Please give me a question.
Yes.
Okay. Well, next week? No, go on. Go on, Eddie.
Oh, Ajahn Brahm, just now you mentioned about punishment in Buddhism,
Yeah.
Yeah. We know there's punishment by God, in Christianity.
Yeah?
So punishment in Buddhism, is it when our negative karma ripens, isn't it?
No. Any punishment, you punish yourselves. No one ever punishes you. You don't have to.
But when there's suffering, that's in the suffering, it is from our negative karma.
No, it means you let go of that negativity and you learn from it. And then you can never feel of it as punishment anymore. How I learned about what I learned from, say, the scrub typhus, which is how I could meditate even in the most unpromising situations. In the middle of a fever, really sore, very weak, no energy, still get into the deepest of meditations. That really stunned me, the Dhamma which I learned from that.
Yeah, I'm thinking another angle, Ajahn Brahm, like they have punishment by God, the Christians, and they go to confess, they confess all these things, forgiveness, okay? So, like say for example, when our negative karma, Buddhist, happens, okay?
Yeah.
Can we keep doing good, to lessen the suffering?
Yes, you can, to lessen the suffering.
Help people, all this.
But there is also that insight, the wisdom of being a soul one, a stream winner. Then so much of that negative karma can never arise again.
Oh. But how do you lessen it then? Say, I'm suffering now, for example.
Lessen it
So
is don't fight it. Make peace with it. And it's amazing what you can make peace with.
But if you do, how about if you do put in your effort itself, you keep doing good, you realize it, like do good, avoid evil, don't think of thing,
Now the
purify
effort,
the mind. That's your
honestly, this is something which I've been teaching a long time now. Many people don't really understand it or accept it. When you fight, that stress makes the pain worse. So please, if ever you are suffering, Eddie, and it really hurts, be with it. Stay in the present moment with this feeling, which is very hard.
This is the feeling,
But if you stay in the present moment, it's much less. So if you really are in the present moment, if ever you start to think, how much longer has this got to go on for, then it adds pain. If you're just in this moment, you're enjoying it now. And it's amazing in the present moment how it can totally vanish. That was one of those great insights which I had as an early time as a monk. That when you had that toothache, and that was really so painful I could not sleep. And then trying everything to overcome it, and then figuring out this is not working. I stopped trying to get rid of it and let it be.
I know what you mean. But sorry,
Yes.
sometimes the situation becomes, it's so strong, you just can't,
This was
so the
strong.
thing is you have to practice like patience, tolerance and understanding, the highest virtues, everyone has to practice, knowing that things are impermanent, all this, you have to go through it, isn't it?
This is this is much faster than that. Immediate disappearance. That's what really struck me. It was just, how can this happen? There was a huge pain, and then in one moment it vanished. Totally disappeared.
Yeah, I understand what you said too.
And that was actually true. Well, why did that happen? That was the interesting part of the experience. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, very good.
Sorry.
Is there another question? No? Okay. Let's now bow 3 times then, Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Oh, I did have, there's no introduction to meditation tomorrow on here. The ordinary meditation class, but no sort of beginner's class tomorrow. It's the fifth Saturday.